The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem.
And joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Nischal Shetty. He is co-founder of WazirX and Layer 1 blockchain startup Shardium. Welcome back, Nischal.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me.
Glad to see you again. We'll get to some of your projects, of course, in a second, but we got to talk a little bit about the Fed because, of course, today at 2 p.m., the Fed decision on raising its short-term, its Fed funds rate is going to be announced. The market seems completely convinced, or just about completely convinced, that we'll see another 75 basis point increase. However, in December, it's split between about, whether or not it's going to be 75 basis points or a little bit lighter at 50 basis points. What do you think the impact is on the market right now, on the crypto market, given, there are all these concerns about inflation and whether or not people will want to take risk in an inflationary environment as the Fed tries to rein it in?
I think the crypto markets are in sort of a push versus pull. And the rate hike is definitely something that will probably have a negative impact on the prices, simply because you'll see less money coming into the crypto markets, and the bear market in general is not going to help either. But I think the good factor is one is I think the recent events with Elon Musk taking over Twitter, that's really boosted the morale of the entire crypto industry. The last few days you saw Dogecoin doing some wonderful rally. So I think it's a mixed reactionary situation right now. But whether it's going to be a 50 basis point or a 75, I think the markets will probably react negatively. We're already seeing the equity markets reacting negatively everywhere. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some downward pressure on the prices, though Bitcoin seems to be holding strong at 20K. And, that's a really, I would say, important point. We need to see if it goes lower.
You mentioned Doge, and my recollection is correct that it's quite popular, particularly with you guys. You've seen a lot of people getting involved in Doge because it feels accessible, because the price point is so low that sometimes people think that it's cheap. In fact, it's just you could buy $100 worth of Doge as much as you could buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. It's the same thing, but nonetheless, for a lot of people, there's that sort of effect of that low price. And you mentioned that there are this spike because of Elon Musk. Are those volumes continuing? Is there a new narrative around Doge, or is it the same people coming back in? What's happening there? I know it kind of sometimes seems silly to a lot of crypto observers, but it might not be. What does it all tell you?
I think it's just been a few days now. I think the whole action started around probably Saturday, and we're still seeing it continue. In fact, I think Doge is still probably the top traded crypto in India right now, as of now. Will it continue for a longer period? I'm not sure. But then, most of these meme tokens, they seem to be seasonal. They have like a couple of weeks of rally and then they go low again. And I think that's what is going to happen right now. But as of now, it seems to be holding strong.
Nischal, could you give us a little bit of, I love your perspective about the Indian market, which is one of the most important markets in the world. So my impression is that India is under basically dual pressures. One is just the larger sort of market downturn that's affecting pretty much everywhere in the world. And the other are some regulatory pressures that are affecting India specifically. I'm just curious about your outlook on that and how that's affecting crypto in India.
Yeah, I think from a regulatory point of view, there's definitely, the sentiment is not really great, and more so because of some of the recent changes in taxation laws. But one of the things that's turning out to be leading people to be hopeful is where our finance minister recently spoke about how India is going to be getting the presidency for the G20. And one of our priorities seems to be crypto regulation. So I think that's, pushing the positive sentiment that India might look at deeper regulation of crypto by working with the rest of the world. And the other aspect is, I think there was a recent pilot of India CBDC. Now, we don't have really deep details about the technical implementation, but the central bank in India is trying to run a pilot project with other companies, and they call it the wholesale CBDC, which is more like a CBDC meant for businesses. And within a month, they intend to launch a retail CBDC. Now, it'll be very interesting to see what sort of response they get for this pilot. But I think overall, there's both aspects. India is trying to tax crypto, and at the same time also trying to understand it, and trying to see what can we do from a global regulatory aspect. I would say the next 12 months is going to be very interesting from a regulatory point of view in India.
And just to sort of zoom in even sort of more narrowly here, your exchange, WazirX, I believe at one point was the largest exchange in India. Now you're, focusing your attention on other projects as well, like Shardeum. Could you talk a little bit about how WazirX has weathered this storm? Do you feel that it is sort of surrendering some ground to other exchanges? It's holding its own? How is this affecting WazirX specifically?
So I think in terms of volumes, we are still the biggest. In terms of, I would say, the share of voice where people talking about an exchange from India on social media, on PR, we're still the leaders. And what we're trying to do is make sure that we weather this whole bear market and the tax laws that have come into effect. We know that things will get better, and this is like our second bear market. So we've learned from the previous bear market on how do you navigate a low period of time, which is put your head down and focus on building and get ready for the next bull run whenever that happens. So we're just trying to repeat our playbook from the last bear market. And I think, over time, we'll start pushing more efforts when we see that the regulatory pressures are reducing and, when the global markets look up. But until then, it's just about, being there and just building out the product. That's our main focus.
Yeah, and Nischal, so now you have pivoted, creating this new blockchain startup, Shardium. You've raised about $18 million in seed funding. Maybe you could tell us a bit about this new company and why you decided to pivot.
It's not a pivot. I would say it's an extension, and I'll tell you why. When I started WazirX, the exchange in 2018, my objective was to help onboard everyone in India to the whole blockchain ecosystem. And we've largely succeeded in getting people into crypto. We've got over 13 million people on our exchange. But what we've seen is that a majority of these people, they do not, move over to a blockchain. For them, crypto is just trading and being on a centralized exchange. And that got me thinking on what is happening. Why is this? And when we dug deeper into it, we realized that the biggest barrier to people trying out a blockchain was the high fees, which was like the number one reason why they were not going and trying a DeFi. Like even $1 for a transaction is very, very high, at least from an India perspective. And I would say in general for mass adoption. The other important thing is that India has never really seen a L1 or layer 1 being built. So it's never been that they started from ground zero with a layer 1 and they understood the tech and then they joined it. And that's the problem I'm trying to solve with Shardium, which is can we build a layer 1 and involve people from India, and we are also trying to get in people from other geographies, from different emerging economies, who have never experienced what it is to be part of an L1 from day one. And the other important thing is the fees. We want to make sure, and at Shardium, we are able to achieve a low fee of, let's say, under 1 cent. And this fee will not go higher when the usage goes higher. So it's more to do with expanding the crypto ecosystem, which led me to launch Shardium.
So how is Shardium going to compete among the other established layer ones out there? Is it a smart contract platform, proof of stake? And I guess you mentioned that one of the leading features of it is the low fees.
Yeah, so it's a sharded blockchain. What that means is, unlike the other blockchains, every time there is a requirement for a higher transaction capacity, the blockchain can expand itself. And how does it expand is by attracting more nodes to join the network. In fact, Shardium is the world's first blockchain where the transaction per second increases every time a new node joins the network. And it's a pure proof of stake, and anyone can run a node. And to run a node, you just need 4 GB of RAM. It's a really lightweight node that anyone can run. And I think that just makes it easy. Now, the question about how do you compete, I think there are two ways to do that. The first is, you try to go after people who are already using existing blockchains and try to get into that market. The other is you look at where's this market going. We have over 200 million people around the world who are into crypto, but this market is growing to over 1 billion people. And I believe that a lot of the emerging economies, including India, are going to be the reasons for this growth. So the second part is, can you attract this new crowd that's coming in instead of trying to go after the existing users of other blockchains? And we're trying to play the second part, which is focus on educating people on what blockchain is, what crypto is, get them onto the blockchain ecosystem, and Shardium happens to be that first blockchain that they interact with. In fact, we've been trying to do that, and it's working really well for us. Like our testnet, which we launched about 5 months ago. We've got over 150,000 wallets already created just on the testnet. We got over 1,000 smart contracts deployed on our testnet. So I think that shows you that there's a lot of new users who are getting into the crypto ecosystem. And if you put your efforts at that entry point and make it really easy for people to understand what a blockchain is, make it cheap for them to use a blockchain, I think you can attract a lot of people. So we're just going that route, acquire the new people by teaching them about crypto and blockchain and, getting them to use this new blockchain that we're building.
So before we go, just real quick, was Shardium meant to go after BNB chain, and what's your relationship right now with Binance? Not so long ago, it was kind of contentious. So is the hope that Shardium knocks out BNB chain, or are you guys friends again?
So look, I think, it's all water under the bridge. But right now, for us, the focus is, like I said, it's less about looking at competition, and we don't go with that thought that, we want to kill someone. I think we look at how do we expand the ecosystem. By trying to put down a blockchain, we're not expanding the ecosystem. We're just trying to eat into the pie. We want to expand the pie, and that's where we're trying to focus on.
What's the relationship with Binance? Is what exactly? Do they actually own you guys? Have you resolved that issue?
We're still discussing. We're trying to resolve it, and as soon as it is resolved, I'll be able to talk more about it.